I've had this comment, you don't look like you have ADHD, but ADHD shows up differently for women than for men. And also it can show up in my mind more than what you see.
And I find that so sad that you have to invest all your energy into this instead of using it and making something beautiful out of the strengths that come with neurodiversity.
It seems like so many people are unaware about this topic and also how it can benefit them, how it can benefit their teams and organization as well. And I want to also demystify neurodiversity as well.
What are some harmful stereotypes that you recognize? Welcome to the Neurolympics podcast, brought to you by Brains First. And hi, Vivian.
Hi.
So nice to see you again.
Yes, likewise.
The last time we spoke, we had a Women's Day special. And today we have another very special topic, neurodiversity.
Yes.
And I'm just going to be straight on point into the episode. Why, Vivian, do we need to speak about neurodiversity?
Because when I look at the workplace and the way things are set up, but also how we interact, it seems like so many people are unaware about this topic and also how it can benefit them, how it can benefit their teams and organization as well. And I want to also demystify neurodiversity as well. Yeah.
Very good, because I think it's a good time that we speak about what neurodiversity is briefly, and maybe if you want to share also bit of a personal experience you have with it.
Yes. So neurodiversity, I'm going to make it very simple. It means the different brains or the different people with different brains are working together, right? So I'm talking about the people who are neurodivergent and those who are neurotypical. And I understand that I need to explain that as well. So neurotypical means that those who have a brain function where all the networks are still the same, right? They are similar to each other. But those who are neurodivergent, those people are people maybe with ADHD, maybe people on the autism spectrum as well, or maybe people with dyslexia, myself as well, where our brains are wired differently. Therefore, we interact differently, therefore we communicate differently, therefore we are a little bit different labeled by the society, whilst we have a unique way and unique strengths in the workplace as well. So you also asked me, okay, what's your connection with this? Well, I know that I have dyslexia. I've known that for a very long time, but what is new to me, or for the last few years new to me, is that I have ADHD and maybe autism as well. And it's through the different things that I do, but also the different insights that I've gained throughout working with virtual reality, where different people were talking about me, but I couldn't connect myself with them, but understanding that I went through a introvert hangover, which is a over-triggered state, which caused me to be angry, be empty, deal with so many things at the same time. And it took me a month to recover from the introvert hangover.
Wow, when was that?
This was in 2021.
Okay.
At an event where a lot of noise, a lot of flashes were there, and it was, I was dealing with FOMO, so being at the event was exciting and fun, but I didn't realize that it took me a month to recover because my social battery was emptier than empty.
Wow. Was that also the moment you first realized, or that
there's something more going on?
Yeah. It came a little bit out of the blue. You didn't expect it.
No.
And ever since, if you don't mind asking me this follow-up question, ever since, what has changed in your life?
I mean, me becoming more aware, realizing that, doing the Irish goodbye by just leaving an event with not making any announcement that I'm leaving has been refreshing. But also I am so much more aware of my boundaries, right? I'm very mindful, especially during the winter when my battery is a little bit lower than the rest of the year. I make a conscious decision to go to an event or not to go to the event. If I have a busy work day, doing trainings during the day, or dealing with a heavy topic or dealing with a heavy group, then I will choose to replenish, withdraw myself, and not go to certain gatherings as well.
Well, it's, of course, I feel truly sorry that you experienced this, but I think it is so good that you now know yourself better, that you know your limits, that you know how to take care of yourself. Because this is, I think, something with neurodiversity that, you know, neurodiversity is and it's good what you mentioned also in the beginning, it's a spectrum.
Yes.
Like it's not like a complete, like we're all not neurodiverse at all. It's like a spectrum. There's no at all one right or wrong.
Yeah, true.
It's like a dimension.
And it shows up differently for different people, right? So oftentimes people say, I've in the past, I've had this comment, you don't look like you have ADHD. But ADHD shows up differently for women than for men. And also can show up when it can show up in my mind more than what you see.
For sure. And I think you're touching upon a very important topic that I wanted to address with you. And this is stereotyping.
Yeah.
It's a huge issue. And I think oftentimes we portray, and also I want to touch upon this later, a one-sided way of what neurodiversity looks like. And that leads to stereotypes. What are some harmful stereotypes that you recognize? So
the stereotypes of people, when they think about neurodivergent people, that may mean that very busy, like a Duracell bunny that is walking around or running around uncontrolled, not being social as well. As you can see, I don't know about you, but I'm very social.
I can feel that.
Also talkative. That's also one of the aspects of discovering ADHD amongst girls and women as well. What else? There is a stereotype, and I want to connect it also with the media. The way that I saw people on the spectrum of autism, but also people who have ADHD, I saw them predominantly in Forrest Gump, The Piano Man, and so many other movies where they were talking about white men or white boys. So I did not recognize myself. And then on the other hand, you have to also realize that women, girls, are being taught to adapt, assimilate at a very young age, right? My legs are crossed right now because of that, because of the way that I'm brought up. But also looking you in the eye is also a way of not me assimilating, but I've been taught that, right? So there are so many things, so many unwritten rules or written rules that we as women have to oblige, which it can easily fall under masking.
So true, because you touched upon so many crucial things now, but I think one of the things I want to highlight is this masking and adapting to what society thinks who we should be or how we should act. And I recently listened to a podcast of an MIT, which is a university in the US, a professor who researches in the field of neurodiversity, but is also neurodivergent himself with ADHD and on the autism spectrum disorder. And he said something that really stuck with me growing up as a child, because usually neurodiversity is already present when you're growing up. Yeah. And that was a question I also wanted to ask you, what impact does it have? But he said that you spend so much time and so much of your energy to try to fit what society wants you to look like or act like. Yeah. Because we live society in a way that it fits neurotypical individuals. But once you're a little bit outside of that straight line and going a little bit towards one or the other tails, let's say, of the spectrum, then you're having a hard time. Yeah. And he said he felt growing up as a child so exhausted many times. He was being so self-critical, self-reflective, always asking himself, what am I doing wrong? Self-monitoring, always watching yourself, how you deal in terms of others. And it was just tiring. And I find that so sad that you have to invest all your energy into this instead of using it and making something beautiful out of the strengths that come with neurodiversity. But
many people don't realize how draining sometimes it can be just going to a Friday night gathering, right? Where all the people are talking loudly. I have misophonia. So calling me nearby a train station is a no-go. If the moment that I hear a train stopping or bleep bleep or bloop bloop, it is activating the inner Hulk within me that is unnecessary, and therefore it's draining energy away from me, right? But also so many people are working in spaces that are not welcoming. So many people work in open offices where two colleagues are hijacking the whole space, talking about what they did yesterday. And in the meantime, you are distracted, losing your focus. Therefore, you have to start over again, right? So am I saying a ban to open offices? No, but there is a way to create a social contract of how we interact in the workplace. And don't look weird if a colleague is putting on a noise canceling headphone, because that colleague is recharging. We need to normalize certain standards in a way of what works for you doesn't work for the other person as well. And people communicate and interact and recharge differently. So I get where this professor is coming from. And I also understand that in the past, I found it very hard to work 5 days because I needed to work 4 days so that I at least took 2 days to recover from the work or do something where I'm re-energizing myself.
Yeah.
And then I'm ready to go back to the workplace. And I never realized that that was also part of me, in a way masking, but also in a way assimilating to the neurotypical, being part of the process as well, so that I can be able to work. You have to realize 1 out of 5 is neurodivergent, and so many people who are neurodivergent don't have a job.
Is that?
Are jobless, yes.
Because
they cannot find a job that is suiting their needs, or they are accommodated with their needs. And on the other hand, there might also be that they are working below their level of experience, right? So they are bored down. Is that a term? I think it's bore out, where they are working below their level and not being challenged to do the work as well.
So can go both ways.
Yeah.
So now that we arrived at the workplace, you work with a lot of companies, a lot of big companies, international companies. How do they usually define diversity, and how does neurodiversity fit in there? Does it have a place? Is it acknowledged?
I would say with the majority of the companies that I work, let's say the international companies or the companies that are from the US, oftentimes they do, but this topic is undervalued. Neurodiversity is undervalued. Why? I don't know. It's new. It's not a common thing. And you also have to realize that when we are talking about neurodiversity, we're talking about everybody in the workplace, where you create an environment so that every individual can thrive.
Yeah.
Every individual can succeed. And that means sharing ways of raising awareness about neurodiversity, but also training managers to become neuro-inclusive managers as well. Look, when you are moving to a new office, have a conversation, include neuro-inclusion as well, so that you have a conversation about providing safe spaces so that people can recharge their batteries. I do understand that, an investment comes into play, but what will happen if your people end up in a burnout because of the environment, or because of not having the flexibility to maybe work from home, because they are overstimulated? They're dealing with so many triggers in the workplace that for them it's not an opportunity to work in the office, but work from home.
And the effects are detrimental. And I think I mean, this is also the mission that Brains First dedicates themselves to, right? We look at the brain.
Yes.
Because everyone has a unique brain and
Definitely.
unique makeup.
Yeah.
And from there, we want to see what fits you and what work environment and what work tasks do you need to thrive.
Yeah.
And I think this is, and I don't know how we got here as a society, but it's truly the other way around.
Yeah.
It's like we try to fit individuals to a certain work environment, to a certain workplace. We don't try to fit the workplace or environment to the individuals.
Yeah. Or include the individuals by asking them, what do you need to accommodate, right? I mentioned that I have dyslexia, and I'm grateful to live in a day and age where I know my tools to use. So for those who follow me on LinkedIn, you might see me writing from time to time, which is a whole process. I dictate to a transcription, and then from there on, use that transcription as a foundation for my article, for writing. And then I go through Grammarly to check everything, if everything is okay. And then I go look at the images. Do I need to add some images to accompany that? So for me, it's not a straight line to write a blog. There is a whole process for me to get to that point where you can see my blog as well.
It's effort that you wouldn't see by just seeing,
exactly.
Like in the end you see the product,
exactly,
but you don't see what stands behind it.
Exactly.
And what are some efforts that companies, organizations can take in the workplace towards a more supportive and inclusive environment for neurodivergent individuals?
I would say provide training. If you don't have an ERG dedicated to that, or maybe the ERG is this topic is part of the disability ERG, make sure that you empower managers to become neuro-inclusive. Make sure that you empower the individuals within the team to become neuro-inclusive, because with this day and age where talent is there is a talent shortage, not only in Europe, but worldwide. We need every individual in the workplace so that your company can grow, so that you can, as a leader, you can reach your team goals or go beyond your team goals, right? With this tight job market, and also the shortage of people.
Yeah.
You have to be very mindful and choose to invest. And if you don't know what it means to be neurodivergent or want to create understanding, I have a tool for that, and I use virtual reality, which allows you to walk a mile in somebody else's shoes. I know it takes 5 minutes, but within those 5 minutes, a lot can happen for you to create understanding and also expand your lenses into becoming more neuro-inclusive as well.
I love that tool, and I love that you use that tool, and I actually got to use it just before our episode recording, and I want to, because we have it here on the table.
Yeah,
I can quickly show it to the camera. This is how the virtual reality glasses look like. You can take them on, and you literally dive into a whole new world.
Exactly.
And
also I have to underline, I use realistic scenarios, right? So I'm not using avatars, because not everybody is a gamer.
Yeah.
And I want to create a way for people to connect so that everybody can connect with that material. But also, I have an easier way to tap into your intrinsic motivation by using realistic scenarios as well.
And it's so cool. I mean, I just literally did it just before our episode recording. And I've studied psychology. I've studied neuroscience.
Yeah.
And can I share just what kind of scenario I saw? Like not what it looked like, but I was placed in the shoes or in the body of a girl who was or experiences ADHD and is on the autism spectrum. And I know about symptoms. I know what you would diagnose based on what kind of symptoms. But seeing it and feeling it, wow, it just did something with me. What is the impact that you usually see when people use your virtual reality?
They didn't know what to expect, but also what makes it more powerful is when I do the setting, I do it with 10 different people, and 10 different people bring in 10 different lived experiences, but also it expands everybody their view in the world that good intention can have a bad impact. Yeah, you recognize one of the scenarios. Yeah, good intention. I do believe that everybody in the workplace comes in the workplace with good intention. But you also have to realize that it can have a bad impact. And when somebody addresses that, have an open mind for that as well, to understand that your lived experience is different than theirs lived experience as well. And it creates a way for people to activate their inclusive self-leadership muscle. Yeah. Okay, now that I know, now that I've seen this, I'm going to be more mindful of not doing this or doing things in a different way, and trust and believe people when they approach me with a challenge, or they approach me with something that they didn't like.
It's so powerful what you're sharing. But I think one thing I want to get back to is that even when we sometimes have conversations, or we are aware of someone is experiencing neurodiversity, or is on the spectrum, we often tend to think, okay, now I know how to maybe approach the person, or how to maybe create an environment that works for the person. But we clearly don't.
No, but that means, that's why I'm emphasizing that you need to have conversations with different people, because I am just one person. I'm not, the mass. Just as you see one person, one Black woman, or one person who has a disability, or who is neurodivergent, which is an invisible disability, doesn't mean that they represent everybody, right? So having a group of different people, asking them, what do you want? What do you believe that should be added into this neuro-inclusive recipe? Yeah, that's where the value is. And keep bringing it up once per year, or maybe every 2 years. See if everything is aligned. If it's not aligned, then tweak it so that you adjust it as well.
Because it's very individual and personal, the experience. Yeah, it varies a lot. Yeah. And speaking about that, it varies a lot. I would love to touch upon the media. How, for example, Hollywood oftentimes portrays neurodiversity in a one-sided way. Yeah. Can you think of movies or series that either misrepresent or do neurodiversity justice?
I would say atypical. It does center a white boy who is on the autism spectrum, but it also shows different people with different neurodivergent skill sets, right? And also, what I've also seen is The Good Doctor. Is one.
I haven't seen it, but
that's a really good series. I do say that it takes a while to see different people who are neurodivergent, but when you stick with it, you'll see different people as well. And Recently Found, which is a new series that I'm following at the moment right now, and there were a few people that were neurodivergent, and they were explaining the misophonia. They were explaining so many things that series can be educational, even though it's some kind of Law and Order type. Yeah. They were very educational for me. That's a way of bringing into light that different people can be neurodivergent as well. Yeah. And not label it as crazy, because in the past, women were labeled crazy. Women were often not believed into what they are, who they are, what they are going through. And a lot of research was focused on men and boys. Now, research is trying to catch up, but still, I want to challenge you to think about intersectionality, because just because you have seen one person doesn't mean that they represent everybody who has the same characteristics as well.
Very good. Yeah. And I think in terms of misrepresenting, we also have to be careful, because I looked into the statistics also of, for example, autism spectrum disorder, how it's portrayed. And 1 in 10 people who have autism spectrum disorder, were diagnosed with it, are on the spectrum that they have some really or excel in mathematical skills,
yes,
or in, for example, memory skills.
Yeah.
But that is approximately 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
However, people in the media or in Hollywood portrayed as having autism is, I think, 50% are being portrayed as having these 7 like skills.
True.
And this is just something we need to keep in mind, because of course you watch a movie and this image that you have of an individual
it can condition you. It can condition you and tap into your unconscious bias, where when you see somebody who's neurodivergent, you label them as they are supercomputers.
And that's this certain image you have in mind, and that will stick with you.
Yeah.
And I mean, neurodiversity doesn't have to be extreme in a sense. We said it's on a dimension, right?
Yeah.
But you and I already
are we are different. Both neurodivergent as well.
To each other. If we compare, like in general, also to the other population.
Yeah.
I also shared I was never diagnosed with ADHD or something before, but as a kid in school, 5 years old, I was falling asleep and I had difficulty sitting still, and all of this is an indicator of it. So I'm probably somewhere on this. Well, I am on the spectrum as well. And it's just portrayed a lot of times in the media as very extreme, and that it can be a bit deviating more, but it can also deviate less.
It comes in variations. That's what I want to say. It's not that the one is lighter or heavier. It comes in variations. That's why many people talk about being on the spectrum in different variations as well. And to understand the individual, have a conversation with them, have a one-on-one with them. What do you need to succeed in the workplace? And how can I help you do that?
So good, Vivian. What is a message you would like to send out to any individual who feels unseen or maybe misunderstood because of his or her experiences with neurodiversity?
I would say you're not crazy. You're unique. And also find out if the environment that you're working for is ideal for you. Yeah. If not, then have a conversation with different people about finding a unique setting. Yeah. Maybe it's the work, or maybe not the workplace, not having the flexibility for you to switch into working from home and working at the office. But we live in a day and age where there are so many opportunities, flexible working, remote working as well. Find what fits you. And to the companies to the leaders that are watching this episode or listening to this episode, I would say brace yourself for either people joining your company because your company or your department is very neuro-inclusive, or brace yourself for a lot of talent to walk out because you're not neuro-inclusive.
Super, Vivian.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your strong words.
Thank you as well.
Thank you for all the efforts you're taking. I've not heard of this before, including it in the workplace, and I really, really hope that I will hear more of this.
I hope so too.
That we integrate it more. It's really powerful. And thank you also for, again, being so personal and so open, and showing also a bit vulnerability here. I'm sure it will inspire a lot of people and resonate with a lot of people out there. So.
I hope so too. I want more people to know and learn about neurodiversity, neuroinclusion, and all the other words that are relevant to that as well.
Yeah, so strong. Thank you for sharing your heart on this episode. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And of course, we want to see you more frequently on the Neurolympics podcast. So please make sure to follow us on any of our channels. You can find us under www.brandsfirst.com/podcast. And we would also love to see you more engaged. So please leave any questions, any comments that you might have for Vivian or for myself underneath here on YouTube, on Spotify. We'll also place our LinkedIns there if you would like to get in touch. And we would love to answer any of your questions or any of your thoughts, get back to you that you have about this episode. And yeah, we have more for you on these topics. So you can click if you're on the YouTube now on any of the previous episodes. So make sure you don't miss out. Yeah, until next time, stay happy, stay healthy, everyone, and see you soon.